Anyone who has tried to quit smoking cigarettes, particularly if you have a long-term addiction to cigarettes, knows that quitting smoking cigarettes is a bastard. Some people have said it's even harder to quit a nicotine habit, cigarette smoking habit, than it is to quit heroin. I don't know about that, but I will tell you that there are a number of factors that make cigarette smoking very, very addictive. Physiologically, smoking is the fastest way to get nicotine to your brain. The faster you get that reinforcement, the more likely it is you will develop the habit and maintain the habit of smoking. Compared to sniffing nasal snuff, it might be as much as 3 times faster to deliver the nicotine from a puff of a cigarette than it would be to take a pinch of snuff. But there are also social reasons. We associate cigarette smoking with a couple of things. There's the oral fixation, hand-to-mouth puffing. There's also hypoxia. You get addicted to a lack of oxygen in your bloodstream. I believe, that is not my theory, but it is a theory I have heard about cigarette smoking. Also, we do cigarettes socially. The first cup of coffee, after getting out of bed in the morning, after a good meal, while we're having a cocktail or a beer. Cigarette smoking, up until about 20 years ago, was actually widely accepted as a social custom for adults. Now, not so much. It is dirty. You stain your fingers, your clothes smell bad, your breath smells bad. But besides that, it's just plain dangerous. Combusted tobacco smoke going into your lungs kills the little tiny hairs that sweep the lungs clean, called cilia. It also clogs up the tar, clogs up the alveoli. Alveoli are the little sacs inside the lungs where oxygen gets exchanged for the carbon dioxide you're trying to get rid of. It also irritates the bronchial tubes. And this can lead to chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, also called COPD. That includes things like emphysema and asthma. With COPD, you might still be getting the oxygen you need, but you're not getting rid of the carbon dioxide. Therefore, you're not getting enough oxygen in your red blood cells. Those are facts. Another fact is that when tobacco is burned, it releases chemicals called nitrosamines. Nitrosamines have been linked to cancer. They activate cancer cells. So you really want to quit smoking. Not to mention the fact that for every $10 you spend on cigarettes, your state and municipality and federal government are taking about $8 of that as taxes. So you are paying a lot of voluntary taxes by smoking cigarettes in the United States, and I'm sure elsewhere in the world as well. But quitting smoking is difficult, as I said. So, can you use nasal snuff to quit smoking? Yes, absolutely. But here's what you have to do in my experience. Don't try to substitute every other cigarette with a pinch of nasal snuff. If you're going to quit smoking, quit smoking. Just put them away. Get rid of them. Throw away your ashtrays. Throw away your cigarettes. Don't smoke. And then, when that old demon nicotine addiction comes to call, that's when you use the nasal snuff. But you can't do them side by side, or you will not quit the cigarettes. Now, there are 2 different companies that I know of that currently make products to help you quit smoking, snuffs to help you quit smoking. Both companies take a very different approach. McChrystal's has a product called Smoker's Blend, also called Snuff. Snuff uses a combination of slightly increased nicotine along with an aroma profile that is supposed to trick the brain into thinking that you're smoking cigarettes. It doesn't really work for me. As a matter of fact, I used to love to blaze up a cigarette and while smoking take a pinch of Smoker's Blend because the smells in my nose were very agreeable when mixed. So that didn't work. Now, about 12 years and some months ago, a company called Toque came up with what is arguably their first high nicotine snuff to help smokers quit smoking cigarettes. It is called Toque Quit. When this was introduced in December of 2008, Roderick commented that what makes this snuff special is not the inclusion of rustica and is not the inclusion of artificially injected chemical nicotine into the tobacco. No, it's very simple. Instead of using the stems and veins of the tobacco leaf that typically go into nasal snuff, Roderick chose to use the more expensive and more nicotine-rich part of the leaf, the tenderloin or lamina. The lamina of the tobacco leaf is everything but veins and stem. It's where you get the most nicotine, and by the way, the most flavor. This is why lamina of tobacco leaf is used for making better quality pipe tobaccos, right? Toque Quit is a very finely milled but fairly moist snuff. It reminds me in texture to the Spanish gem from Toque. Now I had to air this tin out a little bit because it did have a little bit of ammonia to it, but after airing it for a couple of hours, the ammonia is largely dissipated. And what I'm smelling is just good tobacco. There's something a little bit citrusy in there as well. But I think basically what I'm smelling is just nice tobacco. Yeah, finely milled, as I said, fairly moist, but it will not make a pill when I squeeze it between my thumb and forefinger. It does kind of adhere to my fingertips. I need to dust my fingertips off after dipping them into the tin. So let's take a pinch of this and I'll tell you all about it, because that's what I do. So how's your Tuesday going? Today is Tuesday, April 27th, 2021. I am so glad you joined me. I hope your weekend was satisfactory. I hope your work week is going well if you have employment. And if you don't, I hope you're finding something useful to do with your time, or at least entertaining. All right, here we go. Cheers, up yours. Sniff it as if you were sniffing a delicate flower. Yeah, this could be difficult to sniff for some beginning snuff takers. I would say the difficulty of sniffing is somewhere between moderate and difficult. Yeah. I'll tell you what this is. This is Spanish gem without the honey. If you've used, I'm taking a lot of this. Oh my God. Okay, I do have a snoot full now. Oh, it burns. Yes, it does. Right away, though, I get that biscuit-like scent of the Spanish gem, but no honey. It doesn't have the honey aromatic top note. It doesn't have the sweetness. It's still sweet from the tobacco, but it's just a nice, pure tobacco scent, rather biscuity or bready. The burn goes away after about 10 seconds. It's not a big deal. But I can feel the nicotine pulse in the side of my nose right away. Oh, yes. You know, one of the good things about a finely ground snuff is it makes more nicotine available to the capillaries in your nose. Capillary availability of the nicotine. It does make for a more difficult sniff, but it is going to deliver more of the delicious vitamin N through the blood-brain barrier and into your skull where it belongs. Wow. Holy cannoli. Yeah, the nicotine is already starting to hit me, and it's strong, guys. And I do not believe there's any rustica in here at all. You see, most of the Indian white snuffs, a couple of the black snuffs, and the Madras snuffs all contain rustica as part of their recipes, which means, of course, they're going to deliver a lot more nicotine. I don't think this counts on rustica at all. I think this counts on just using that good part of the tobacco leaf, and it is strong. On my personal nicotine scale, where 1 is virtually no nicotine. 0 would be a non-tobacco sniffing powder. 1 is very, very low, and I've seen very few snuffs at that low a level. Up to a level of 10, which I don't think ever seen, except maybe pure rustica. With my high nicotine tolerance, and I have a very high tolerance for nicotine, for me this rates a 7. Now I would rate cheetah, white elephant, white horse, Delakia white as an 8. So that'll give you an idea. Toque Whiskey and Honey is somewhere between a 7 and an 8. It's right up there with Toque Whiskey and Honey, which does include Whiskey and Honey USA, which does include Rustica. This is a solid 7, guys. It's strong. So if you want to quit smoking, this may be your ticket. To me, this is much more pleasant in both aroma and nose feel than are any of the Rustica-based snuffs. I like this very much. It gets a 4 out of 5 on the squinty scale, where 1 is disgusting and 5 is goodbye cigarettes. I'm serious. This will help you quit smoking if you do as I suggest. Just put the cigarettes away, get rid of them, get rid of your ashtrays, get rid of your lighters, have nothing available to smoke so you're not tempted to go back to them. Then when your nicotine craving starts to hit, don't smoke. Snuff Toque. From the Dank Basement, this is Paul Schalbetter. I purchased this directly from ToqueSnuff.com. They've got a deal they run all the time. If you buy 5 tins at the regular price of these large tins, you get the 6th one for free. It's probably why I decided to try the Quit again after nearly 13 years. Quit was one of the first 10 Toque snuffs I tried in my snuff taking history. A couple of years, in fact, before I started this channel. But I hadn't reviewed it, and I haven't used it for a very long time, and now I'm going back to it because I like it. It's good. Yeah, ToqueSnuff.com. I got my order in about 5 calendar weeks after placing my order, which isn't bad considering the COVID carnival. So that's it. 4 out of 5 on the squinty scale for quality, and 7 out of 10 on my nicotine scale based on my high tolerance. Thanks for watching.